Hi, everyone, and welcome to Acting Sessions. I'm Marco DiGeorge, and I am the co founder and instructor at Truthful Acting Studios. We're an acting conservatory located in Orlando, Florida. And from time to time, I like to come on and just talk about different topics as it relates to the acting community. And so this is, if you haven't been on here before with me, I like this to be interactive. So there is a chat feature. If you're on live, there's a chat feature with us. And you can use that to say hello. You can use it to interact. And if you have any questions as we go through, go ahead and put it there in the chat. And I will do my best to answer all the questions with the time that we have. Also, Samantha DiGeorge is with us online. She will be moderating as well. She can also answer some of your questions as we go through. But today's topic, so I kind of, vary the topics of what we talk about. And today's topic, I wanted to kind of take a step back a little bit and discuss where to start with your acting or your acting career, because this is probably one of the biggest questions that we receive the most often is, from all over the world, we get the question of, I really want to be an actor, but I'm not too sure what the first step should be. Where should I start? How can I do it? And so I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a step back and just discuss what are those first steps. So, first of all, if you want to be an actor, that's wonderful. It's really is an amazing art form. It's an amazing career if you stay in it long enough to get to that point. But it's also an amazing way to simply express who you are. And I love all the different art forms, from singing to dancing to painting to sculpting to all of the different art forms. But there's something about acting that really just draws me to it. And it's the ability to live different lives of these characters as you go through. And it really, as a human being, it allows you to get further in touch with yourself and who you are. And as it relates to, to characters and people all over the world. So it really is a magical art form. However, when you're first starting out, there's a few misconceptions that you might run into as it relates to acting, because that's the biggest thing is people want to talk to me and say, okay, so I really want to get started, so what do I do? So what I'd like to follow that up and have a conversation and ask them, okay, so tell me, what do you think acting is? What do you think it means to be an actor? Like, what is this art form you want to get into? And pretty consistently, I receive the answer that, well, acting is pretending to be somebody else. It's stepping into a character. We get to pretend to be in different situations, different environments. And so that's a pretty common answer for that. And so, yes, first of all, I'd like to say that, yeah, acting, there's a lot of imagination work involved in acting. But what most people outside of the industry don't really understand right away is that acting is not simply pretending to be someone else. In fact, acting is more about being in touch with who you truly are at your core. I mean, acting is really about accessing the most vulnerable parts of yourself and then bringing that to the scene or the character or the environment or the story or whatever it may be. So it's not merely pretending. Even though there's imagination work involved, it's not merely pretending, but the journey of an actor, it's an internal journey. It's not an external journey. I mean, yes, there are skills and there are ways we do things, but that's, believe it or not, the easy part. Yes, there's memorization involved. Believe it or not, that's one of the easier things we do. The more difficult thing that we do as an actor is we have to go inside, internal, into ourselves, into what we call our emotional core, which is where all of your feelings and emotions come from. And we need to learn how to first unblock them, as we have these things called blocks, which are right here in our chest, where we block emotion from coming out and expressing. We learn that in life. And we have to unblock those and learn how to access emotion, deeper vulnerability, and then allow that to fully express into the character. One of the things that is not really known when you first start off in acting is that all acting, or at least in dramatic narrative form, which are your dramas, your dramatic comedies, like all of those things, but acting is emotional. All acting is emotional. Now, when I say emotional, I'm not always talking about the external expressiveness of emotion. But as human beings, we feel our way through life. Every moment of every day, we have a feeling about what we are experiencing. And so it's true that our characters are doing the same thing. So in order to deliver a truthful performance, we, the actor, need to understand what it means to feel our way through these moments, these scenes that we then portray. So in order to do that, we first have to allow ourselves to have that access to the emotion, to the deeper parts of the self. We have to allow ourselves to do that, and then allow ourselves to express it. Now, we do this naturally on a daily basis. So we could think, well, okay, so it shouldn't be that difficult because we do this every day, right? I feel things every day. I express things every day. So yeah, I can bring that to acting. It shouldn't be that difficult. And that's the misconception, is that acting, while yes, we do it every day, when we bring it into the conscious mind, because there's certain things you do daily that are in your subconscious, meaning you do them automatically. It's an automatic process. So we don't think about the things that we feel about all the time. We simply have feelings about every single thing we interact with on a daily basis. So it's an unconscious or subconscious process. The moment we bring it into our awareness, into the conscious mind, and start thinking about, well, how do we do this? It becomes difficult. And now we become something called self-conscious, meaning aware of the self. We're aware of every little thing that we're doing. And so there lies the difficulty. The moment we're aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it, then we try to control and manipulate it. It's our logical mind tries to step in and then wants to take control over it. And so when the logical mind does that, our acting becomes false. Our acting appears flat or unmotivated. It's not truthful. And so this is actually the very interesting part of acting, is first understanding what acting really is. And to sum it up in the briefest form that I possibly can, acting is about giving yourself access to the deepest parts of yourself, and then giving yourself permission to express those outwardly without hiding, defending, without manipulating. And on top of all of that, we do it publicly. If we're in theater, we're on a stage, lights are on top of us. We are doing this all live in front of a public audience. If we're on film, we still have an audience of the crew surrounding us. Everyone is looking at us. We have lights on us. We have a camera on us. And yet we're still asked to be our most vulnerable self, our most raw version of who we are as we bring that to the character. So these are very difficult things, and really that's the journey of acting. Not the skill layers that exist on top of it. We learn those too. We learn how to stand. We learn how to work with the camera, for example. We learn how to work on stage, stay in our lighting. We learn how to do all of those things. Those aren't really the difficult things that we learn. The difficulty is being the best version of yourself. And that takes work, it takes dedication, and it really takes a willingness to even do it in the first place. Not everybody is willing to do that work, to go and really figure out who you truly are, to uncover certain blocks that you have made in your life. So it's a longer journey to become an actor. This is why when you see like the great actors, like the big A-list actors, the ones that are working professionally, they've been doing this for a very long time. They've been studying and practicing for a very long time because the internal journey takes a very long time and it evolves as you go through it. Many times I'll hear from actors, that again, actors that are not really in the industry yet or they're just starting out, and they'll think, well, the memorization. Well, if I just memorize my lines, I'll somehow be able to speak them truthfully. And again, that's just not the case. It's very difficult. It's interesting that public speaking is rated as the number one fear across humanity. That if we go all over the world and we poll people on what is their greatest fear, public speaking is among the top of that list. Standing up in front of a public audience and simply speaking on a topic. And interestingly enough, acting is the extreme sport version of public speaking. Because not only are we standing up in front of an audience and speaking on a topic, we're also allowing ourselves to feel fully about this topic that we're speaking about, which is the scene or whatever the character is going through. And we're allowing that, we're allowing that emotion to express. Now, in life, we tend to pull back from emotion. We tend to not want to express in front of others, and we're taught this in life. Even though we're emotional human beings, everyone on the planet is an emotional human being. We still are taught through our culture, society, peer pressure, we're taught as we grow up to hide our emotion. We're taught to try to control the expression of the emotion. And then now as an actor, as we learn how to do it, now we learn that we have to kind of undo all of that because our acting requires the emotion. It requires us to fully feel. It requires us to fully express. And again, this is some of the really difficult work that we do. So I first wanted to talk about that. So just so we understand, that is really the journey of becoming an actor. As you're learning the skill set of it, as you're learning how to interpret a script, as you're learning how to memorize, as you're learning how to what we call personalize the script, make it very personal to us, as you're learning these different skills of acting, we're also working on the human being. That is a critical part of acting, is working on the self. And so when I start working with actors, sometimes actors, or students get into acting and they're thinking it's about simply pretending and playing and some of these things, which there are components, but they think that's all it is. And when they realize the difficulty of acting, they're not quite ready to go on that journey. And so it's good to understand the journey that you're undertaking. It's a personal journey. And it's one about improving yourself on a daily basis. And when I say improving yourself, what I mean is not that you need to be anything more or less than you actually are. When I mean improving yourself, I mean becoming the person that you were born to be. I mean embracing every single part of who you are, embracing every single thing that you feel. So that's kind of what I mean by that. As we improve ourselves, we actually uncover some of the stuff that causes us to hide from the world. If you've ever felt like you couldn't really reveal yourself, or you didn't want the world to see certain sides of you for whatever reason. Sometimes we feel that. If you've ever had that feeling, well, the acting works on allowing that to express. And we typically express it through character or through other exercises, but that's one of the things that we do. So really that's the journey of acting. And if you've ever studied at our studio, you'll recognize that much of the journey that we go through is working on the self. We do much work every single class. We discuss philosophy, psychology, emotion. We discuss it at a very personal level. And we slowly work through becoming the best version of you can be as you become the best actor you can be. They go hand in hand. One of my mentors, Sanford Meisner, who we base our approach at Truthful Acting Studios, Sanford Meisner said that in order to become a better, more complete actor, you must first become a better, more fully functioning human being. They go hand in hand. And the reason for that is if in your life you're very shut down, like many people are, right? Especially if you're an introvert, you're very shut down, you don't like to show emotion in front of others, or maybe you've had some experiences in your past that causes you to block emotion when it tries to surface. Okay, so just about everybody goes through something like that. Well, if you're blocked in real life, meaning if in real life you don't allow yourself to feel fully or don't allow yourself to express fully, there's no way then in your acting you can magically open up. You will have the same emotional blocks in your acting that you do in life. So in order to be the most free, unhinged person you can possibly be in your acting, we must also be free in our life. To me, this is one of the best things about acting. One of the best things about it is you work on yourself. If nothing else, even if you never, got to the upper echelon of acting, even if you go through your entire life's journey and you'll do acting, but let's say you never become an A-list actor, because it takes a lot to do that, and it takes a lot of luck to do that too. But let's say you never make it there, but you find your happiness in life. You still find the best part of yourself and you can apply it to every aspect of your life. You've won. You've won the game of life at that point. The moment you find your happiness, the moment you can embrace who you truly are and allow it to surface every moment of every day, it increases your relationships in life. It increases your happiness overall. You feel better and more confident about yourself because you're embracing what you feel. All of those things are so critical in life. And so to me, when I train actors, and I also, I teach at the university that's local to me as well, and I teach directing. So I teach film students, I teach the actors, I also direct. And so when I do any of those things, when I'm working with anyone in the industry, to me, it's all about wanting to make sure my students are the best people they can possibly be. That's what I want. If you can be happy in life, then you've won. And that's what I want, regardless of what you do with it, regardless of what your career is, regardless of whether you become an actor, whether you're a writer, whether you do something completely different. We have students that they'll start out taking the acting class, but then after they go through that self-exploration and self-discovery, they realize they actually want to do something else, because now that they're embracing who they are, the whole world opens up to them and they go do something else. But they're doing something now that makes them happy. That is the most critical thing right there. So to me, the journey of becoming an actor, and I say all this because it is about the journey. All of the art forms. It's about the journey. It's never about a destination. And number one thing about if you're starting out to be an actor, do your best to disconnect from any future point, any future destination. Meaning, don't say, well, once I'm in Hollywood, or once I'm, on TV, or once I'm, because then we're attaching our happiness falsely to a point in the future that may or may not ever come. And we discount, meaning we don't put much importance on the day-to-day journey because all we're doing is focusing on some point in the future. Arts, music, acting, dancing, all of the art forms is about every day. It's the journey. Every day you have an opportunity to be happy. Every day you have an opportunity to express. Every day you have the opportunity to create. Every single day. And tomorrow is not certain, right? The future is uncertain. The future is unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how much time we have left. We don't know what's going to change or what events will occur in the future. So all we have is right now. So the journey of an artist, which to me is very similar to the journey of a human being, is all about living fully now, embracing who you are right now, being the best version of yourself right now, and then doing it every single day again, over and over and over. And I promise you, if you can do that, if you can find your way into that, and the arts can guide you there, but if you can find your way into that, you've already won. You're already successful. All right, so I want to switch over. I received quite a few questions regarding this topic, so I want to make sure I jump into some of those questions. And then also, if any of you have any questions you want me to address live, just please put them into the chat, and I will do my best to get to those as well. So the first question that I had was, will I need experience before I start acting? And so what I can say there is it kind of goes hand in hand. Yes, you will need some experience as far as training. You need some understanding of what acting is before you can act. But then there are different outlets as you begin training. There are different outlets for you to apply your training to as you're learning how to do it. Now, you're going to need a ton of experience before you're able to work professionally as an actor. That takes time. But what I can say is there are student films, there's community theater, there's there's independent film. There are all sorts of different things that you can do that as you're training to become an actor, you can then do. They're lower risk projects that you can get involved in, mostly volunteer, but there are things that you can do, religious theater. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you can do and volunteer for. And then this allows yourself to then apply the tools that you're working on. So it kind of goes hand in hand, but training is vitally important to the process. So the next question is relocating to a major city mandatory for a more successful journey? And yes, this is another very common question I receive, especially being in the States. Most of my actors want to know, do I need to go to either New York or LA to become an actor? And my initial answer is no, but then I also want to add, it depends on what you mean by success. So to me, and through my career, early on in life, I had the word success for much of my definition of it meant there was financial success and also title success, right? So early on, when I was in high school, college, I'd think of being successful, and it meant I was at a certain level of a job or a certain level in the industry. Later, as I've gone through this journey, though, success now means something else. Success means happiness in the moment to me. Am I happy right now with where I'm at and what I'm doing? And if your success is based in your happiness, then you can do that from anywhere, absolutely anywhere, because you can really act from anywhere. I mean, there are theaters just about in every city. There are film opportunities in major cities all around the world. I mean, so so you don't have to be in like LA or in a major city or in Toronto or in something like that. You can kind of be just about anywhere and you can still have film schools that you can work with. You can still have independent films that you're working with. So you can do this acting thing from just about anywhere. But it really depends. Now, if your version of success, like a more successful journey, also means working in the professional industry with like the studios, with Warner Brothers or Universal or some of the major studios, then yes, moving to a more major city that those studios exist in will be important in that journey, because you have to. So see, here in the States, going to LA, for example, those studios exist in LA, so much of their casting is done right from there in LA. And so it's important to be there just simply to have more opportunity. But you don't have to. You don't have to at all. I've seen actors have success all over the world living in smaller cities as well. So this comes back to what I was talking about earlier. If you tie your success to your happiness and you work every day on being happy, then it won't matter where you are whatsoever. And to me, there's a certain freedom to that as well, because now you can live where you want. You can travel where you want. You can pretty much live the life that you want, and you can still exercise your craft from wherever you are. All right, so the next question is, how can I improve my acting skills at home or by myself? I receive this is a common version of emails that we receive quite often. People all over the world that are saying, well, I don't have the ability to take a class, or we don't have acting classes near me. So what can I do? Or what can I do when I'm not in a class? What can I do at home? So there's many different versions of this question. And so yes, there are things that you can do on your own. So I'll go through a couple of these things. The first one is still try to study the best you can from home. And by study, I mean like right now on this session that we're doing. It's free, right? I put these out there for free for people that can't necessarily afford to take a class. And so I'm not the only one that does these too. There are other people that will do similar things. Find free or low-cost options, webinars, training, workshops that you can get involved in. And then there's low-cost options that are also online. More and more we're finding available options online for you to work on your acting. So I would try to find those. Learn as much as you can. We've released, so in addition to like these sessions that we also have online training options. We call them digital courses that you can take. Now, I have a free course out there that you can take. It's an introductory course. And if you go to the website, truthfulacting.com, you can find our digital courses. You can go there. There's a free course that you can take. And I walk you through some of the initial steps of what I was talking about earlier, working on yourself. I go through an exercise of how to do that. It's called artistic exploration. And so I give that out for free. It's a free online course. In addition, I also have then paid courses that you can take. So right now I have a paid course on getting into the film industry, so starting out working in film. And yet, that one does cost money, but it's a work at your own pace online. there's several videos with me. I've recorded videos, and I figured out a way. What I'm trying to do is figure out a way how to work with you and still guide you along the journey, even though I don't have you in front of me in the studio. And so, I've put that out there. And so there are those types of options that you can do. Secondly, work on language. Whatever language you speak, depending on the language you're going to act in, work on making sure the language is clear, enunciated. You need to make sure that an audience clearly understands what you're saying. If you're looking to work in the States or in American film, work on English. So work on making sure your English is clear. Even if you have an accent from somewhere else, that's okay. Make sure you slow down when you're speaking English and enunciate as much as you can. Voice is so vitally important in this journey. So those are the things that you can do, and part of that I would also say is read out loud. In whatever language you're going to be using in your acting, take anything. It could be a book, it can be anything you want, and read out loud. Reading out loud works on articulation. It works on enunciation and what we call overall vocal clarity. And that is vital in your acting. And that's stuff you can do absolutely on your own. And then take the free course that we have that's on our website. Take that as well, because that will give you another exercise that you can do with artistic exploration that you can also do on your own. All right, so next, is it important to know what kind of acting you would like to do? And I'm assuming this means, is it important to know this before you start acting or before you start training? And so, no, because when it says like different, like what kind of acting, there are, to me, it could either mean genre. Do you want to do comedy, drama, something like that? Or it could even mean, do you want to do stage acting or film acting, or live performance? And no, you don't need to know. When you train in acting, acting is acting is acting, meaning there's really no differentiation of what it takes to be an actor. We use the same internal process to act in a film or television or in theater. It's the same approach. It's just the technical layers on top. Meaning, am I working for a camera? Am I on camera right now and I have to work in this frame? Or am I on stage and I'm working to the audience? So there are some technical layers that we have to apply. On stage, we have bigger physicality so the audience can see it, versus on camera, we bring that physicality down, meaning we go more internal because the camera is more up close to us. So there's those technique things that vary from one to the other. But once you get into acting, you kind of do it all. We do theater, we do film, we do television, we'll do drama, we'll do comedy. We kind of do all of that, and you don't have to choose up front or really ever the exact thing that you want to do. Once you learn how to act, if you study a deep level process in acting, you can apply it to absolutely anything. Let's see, I have a question in the chat. Harrison. So Harrison's asking, do you think singing lessons can help with acting? Yes. Absolutely. It can, from the standpoint that singing lessons, well, first of all, if you want to do musical theater, where we're singing while we're acting, then yes, singing lessons are very important for that, just in that. But if we're not talking about musical theater and we're just talking about regular acting, then yes, they can still be important, because singing lessons work on something called vocal health, or breath control. And so, in other words, you learn how to breathe properly to then sing. Voice is all about breath. When we take a breath in, we breathe in, and then that air, that's all it is air that's coming out, that we vibrate right here in our throat. We have these things called vocal folds that they vibrate. and that vibration comes out, the vibrated air hits our face, and we articulate through the face, meaning our jaw, our lips, our mouth, our teeth, our soft palate, all of those things. We move in a way that then make specific sounds. Singing teaches you the basics of that as well. Now, singing is, of course, about doing things in a more melodic way, but the breathing part of it, allowing yourself to have a strong vowel sound, the O or A, like the vowels are the power sounds. You can have strength there. Learning how to then articulate and enunciate through different things. And in music, you have to articulate and enunciate through the lyrics. So yes, singing can lend itself to the vocal side and allow you to breathe properly, and then use that breath for your voice. And then you can take those same lessons, those same breath lessons, the same, the power, the articulation. You take all of those lessons and you can bring them right to your acting. In addition, I would say make sure to also take a vocal course for actors as well. It will become that helps you make it specific toward the journey as an actor. All right, going on to the next question. It says, I took acting in school but have not done it for a few years. Okay, what is the best way to get back into it? All right, sure. So you were in high school, maybe college, you did some acting, most likely theater, and then you're now bringing it back to, maybe a couple years have gone by. Because I've had, so many students tell me this. It's like, well, I used to do acting when I was younger, but then I got away and I got into a job, I got into a career, I got into family. Now I want to come back to it. What do I do? And so, it's great that you have some experience from school. That can be very beneficial to you. But what I would still say is get back into taking classes. That's what you need to do, is still go back and learn again. Acting is an evolution. It doesn't ever stop, meaning we keep evolving as the artist. So even though you've done things in the past, we can build now on top of that moving forward. So get back into taking an acting lesson or an acting class. It's the best thing to do, and to get back in and recapture the some of the stuff and the skills that you've had when you're in school. Let's see. So I had another question, Jess, in the chat. It says actor reels are private, so hard to see examples. What's the best approach for a reel? Can you hone in on the specific areas you want to act in, like martial arts, action, comedy? So actor reels are something that, so as an actor, as we start getting into the industry, and really it's after we're acting and training for some time, we put together something called an actor reel, which is our samples of what we can do. And I wouldn't rush to do that. Actor reels are typically after you've been in the industry for some time, and you've done material and you've received that material, and you take just samples of those things and you put them together. A reel is meant to just showcase, this is what I've done and this is what my ability is to act. So it should be the best of what you've done. Now, if you've done a lot of different things, then you can divide and have specific reels, like, here's just an action reel, or here's just a comedic reel, or here's a dramatic reel. You can subdivide those up if you have enough material to do that. If you don't, then you can put them all together onto a single reel. An actor's reel is typically, it's no more than 2 minutes. And it can be anywhere from one clip, you can have a demo reel with a single clip on it, or to about 3 or 4 clips. Usually you have 3 or 4 clips, about 20 seconds to 30 seconds each, and that's it. That's it. That's a demo reel. They're just small little clips of your acting and what you're able to do. Make sure, though, that it's really good material. I would not create a demo reel from amateur material, meaning if it doesn't look good and sound good and your acting is not right where it needs to be, do not do a reel, because it's when someone watches an acting reel, the assumption is that this is the best that you can do. So that's why early on, in when actors first starting out, when an actor's in their first year of training, for example, and they'll say, "Oh, should I do a reel?" I'm like, "No, it's not time yet," because you're evolving so quickly, you're learning so much so quickly, that even if you did a reel today, 3 months from now, your acting's at a higher level. It's at a different level. And so if you show somebody that reel, it's not really the best you can do anymore. You can do much better right now. So I would wait until a few years of training and into the industry, and you have really good material, and then showcase that. It's just a sample of what you can do. That's all it is. That's all it is. And it's short. The shorter the reel, the better. I can tell you, when I do casting for projects and I'm watching reels, if it's even if it's more than 1 minute, I might not get through the whole thing. Once I watch the reel and see what I need to see, I move on to the next thing. So make sure that it's just comprised of the best. You can have a 30-second reel of a single clip that's really good work. That's all you need. That's all you need. Okay, let's see. I think there was another. So another question, let's see, is what happens if you have never had taken acting classes? Well, everyone starts at the same spot, which is never have taken an acting class. That's where everyone begins the journey, is without having an acting class. And so it just means take one. Take one somewhere. Online. There's live online classes, meaning you can do Zoom, or online classes that way. There are pre-recorded classes or digital courses like we're starting to offer now, or there's in-person classes. You go to a studio and you take the classes that way. Really, any way that you can take a class, just start taking a class. Everyone starts at the same place, which is have never taken a class. That's okay. And it doesn't matter where you are in your career, where you are as a human being. It doesn't matter, what time of your life you're in. Just start taking a class, and that's the best way to do that. And then actually, I'm going to jump down because it goes right into this next question, or this question here. Is there a too old age to start acting? That kind of goes hand in hand with this other question. And what I'll say is no. It's another beautiful thing about this art form, is that there is no age limit to acting. That's beautiful. Meaning that you can start acting at an older age. With other industries, even other artistic industries, there might be more of an age limit to it, because there's a physicality that wears out, like sports. Typically it's at a certain age our body starts deteriorating, and we can't do the physicality anymore. But with acting, it's all about just being a human being, the fullest version of the human being you can be. And with that, we need actors of all types, all ages, actors from everywhere. And the cool thing about that is you can start at any age. We have students in our studio that are in their 70s. We have students that are in their 80s. And they're taking classes now, meaning they've gone through their whole life doing other things, and now they're doing this. We have several that are 50 plus that have gone through life, gone through a career, gone through other things, and are now getting into it. So there is no age limit to acting, and that's a beautiful thing. And it goes back to, well, if you've never taken a class, now's the time. If you want to do it, then jump in and just do it. And that's pretty neat. Let me go back. Let me see if I can get some of these others. Can doing a reality TV show hinder your chances of doing actual films, or does it not matter? Uh, so, uh, Gino, that's a good question, and I'll have to say it depends. If you have success, I'll say success, meaning notoriety, if you're recognizable on a reality TV show, yes, it can hinder you being taken seriously then as an actor. Once you achieve some sort of celebrity status in the reality TV world, that's kind of a genre that you're going to be seen within. So if you go on and you're a star, if you're recognizable, if you become that celebrity of that reality TV show, it's difficult then to do other things. So I would take that into consideration. There are plenty of other reality TV shows, the cooking challenge shows and the things like that, no, those won't in any way hinder you from your acting career. But, the Bachelor or the Bachelorette or things like that, yeah, that puts you into kind of a different celebrity status of being known in the world. And that can then work against you on being taken seriously as a working actor. So just something to consider there. So it really does just depend on what type of show it is. Let's see. Next question. Are agents necessary for actors? And what makes an actor attractive to be signed by a talent agent? So agents are necessary to work in professional film or professional television or professional theater like Broadway theater. You will need, in certain markets, you will need agents to get into those industries, because to even be able to go on an audition, you have to go through an agent. The agent is the one that can send you on the audition. The auditions are not simply just open to anybody. So yes, at a certain point they are, but for community theater, for church theater, for student film, independent film, you do not need an agent for that. So there's plenty of points in the industry you can work without an agent as you're gearing yourself up and you're learning and you're building your resume that then allow you to get signed by an agent. Now, what does an agent look for? Number one thing, training. They want training. They're looking for the more training or the deeper level process that you have, that is the best thing you can do. So in other words, it's, try to study, when you study at one studio in a deeper process, more like a conservatory. Conservatories are great to study at because it's like going to a university in a sense. It's so like Truthful Acting Studios, we're a conservatory. We have students that work with us for 3 to 4 years as they go through and hone their craft. The Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London is a conservatory because you can study there for many years and you go through an entire process. Juilliard in New York is a conservatory. So things like that are where you can go in and you can work with instructors, but very specifically honing your craft as an actor. That's looked upon very highly in the industry. So that helps you get signed, is more training. Second to training in the industry is theater. Theater on a resume is very impressive because in theater, it takes a different skill set to stand on a stage in front of a live audience and to be able to do what we do. That same skill that we use on stage is used in front of film. But in film, we edit what we record the same thing multiple times, and then we take the best of the best pieces and we edit that together for the film. It's hard to know where you are as an actor just by watching a film. But having theater credits on your resume says that, well, you've had to do at least a certain amount of work to even be cast in this theater production and then to go on and run this play. So we know that you have worked at a deeper level. We know that. In film, we don't know what your process is. In theater, we do, or at least we more so know. So training is number one. Theater credits are number two. Those are the things that will make you very attractive to an agent, and you can do both of those on your own without an agent to start out. Let me see. Let's see. Going through. Is doing theater a good start? Okay, I think I just answered that. For someone who wants to act on TV, yes. As I was just saying, yes, theater is actually critical for that. It's not only is it a good start, it's almost necessary, and theater will give you all of the tools you will need to then present in front of a camera. It teaches us things that actors who go direct to film or direct to TV have a very difficult time learning. For example, one basic tool in theater, the show must go on, and what that means is that whatever happens when we're on stage, we always move forward with the story. Right? We continue the story forward. So even if something happens that we did not expect, even if something happens that is out of the ordinary, let's say you forget a line or stumble on a line, or your partner forgets a line or stumbles on a line. Let's say a prop piece breaks or something happens like that. In theater, we don't stop the show. We don't stop and redo it and go again. We always move forward. So as an actor, we always step into that life of the character, and we stay there until we either exit stage or the show is over. So that is such a valuable lesson to then bring to film. Actors who go directly into film, one of the lessons that they don't really ever have, and it's very hard to learn, is because it's on camera and they know we're filming it multiple times. The moment something goes different than they thought it should go, they will stop themselves. They'll be acting, and then on something they'll stumble, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can we do that again?" The actor will stop themselves. And in professional film, that is something you don't ever want to do. So to learn the lesson, to really learn the lesson of what it feels like to always move forward, even when things are going, off the rails, so to speak, theater is absolutely the best way to do that. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see. I think that is it. So, not too many acting gigs for a 78-year-old retired media executive. Well, there are different. What I can say is acting there are acting jobs for just about everybody. Everyone is kind of has a sliver of what is available to you. Meaning, we have something called a type. Your type is how you fit into the world as perceived by others. So just by looking at people around you on a day-to-day basis, you can have an idea of how old they are. You have an idea of what they do for a living. You have an idea of if they're part of a family or not, just by looking at people. And so people do the same thing looking at you. So part of acting is identifying what your type is and figuring out like where you fit in, and then connecting with an agent, and then making sure they're sending you out on roles, or even if you're doing it yourself, looking for roles that fit your type. Pretty much our playable range is usually a 10-year range, somewhere around how old we are. So even if you're in your 70s, you might be able to play from 70 to 80, let's say, and do those range. In theater, there's quite a few roles for older actors. Now, the training still comes into play, and you still need to make sure you're trained, but that's okay. You don't need to be able to sing. You don't need to be able to dance. I mean, those are different skills if you're doing musicals. But the acting is really open to anybody. And as I said, I have actors in their 80s, and we're training them, and they're able to learn and then go and work in the industry as well. And we're seeing more and more older actors on television, which is wonderful. Like, it's much different than the 1980s or the 1990s, where there were fewer roles for older actors. Now there's really good roles for older actors, and we're seeing that. And so it's starting the industry is starting to change and give really, really strong roles to the 50 plus, 60 plus. Even there's you look at Helen Mirren or Harrison Ford, and they're in their 80s still doing great work. So we're seeing that industry's changed. So what I would say, just like everything else, is just take a class. That's really where you want to start. You want to start working with an instructor. You want to start working with the craft, learning as much as you possibly can. That's absolutely the best thing that you can do. Let's see, I have one or two more. Oh, something came up. Okay, so what would you say is a good amount of training time? So it depends on where you are in life, and it depends on what you want to do with your acting. So what I mean by that is, if you are in the part of your life, if you're younger and you're a student and you have more flexible and free time, then put more time into your acting. If you want to be an actor professionally, this is what you want to do as a career, then put absolutely as much time into it as you possibly can. So, but at the same time, let's say you're a little bit older. Let's say you have a family right now, and so making money to support the family is important. You can still find time to your acting. You just have to balance those two things out. Or let's say you want to act, but you want to be more of a hobbyist as an actor, meaning you want to do it for fun on the side, but you're not interested in moving to the industry or doing it on a full-time basis. Well, again, you don't need to put as much time into it. So those are the things that I would say come into consideration. Now, with anything, to really become an expert in something, you have to dedicate a serious amount of time to it. So to me, I always say chart your time that you're doing every single week. Chart your time. And anything that you put into your art, write it down, like log it. And then every week, add up the time. How much are you putting into your acting this week? Now, that could be reading a book on acting. That could be this session right here. That could be taking a class. That could be anything. But how much time are you putting into your craft? Then you can look at it, and you have to then determine, does that feel enough? So, for example, I have students that will put 10 hours of time a week into their acting, but they say they want to do this for a career. I'm like, well, then let's evaluate that. If you're putting 10 hours of time into something that you're saying you want to do full time, you're putting less time than a part-time job. Is that enough? And it's like, no, you work more on it, work harder on it. But then I have people that are like, wow, no, I'm putting 25 hours a week into it, and I feel really good about that. Great. Then you're doing exactly what you need to do. So just by evaluating what you're doing and evaluating, you'll have to feel like, does that feel like it's enough to you? Keep your life in balance, though. That's a big lesson that we have to learn. I'm all about work ethic, and I train in something called integrity and work ethic in the studio. I push my actors to be the hardest working people that they can possibly be. But that doesn't mean working nonstop. Being the hardest working doesn't mean we exhaust ourselves to the point where we have nothing left. That's when we become overwhelmed, and that could lead to other issues, including mental health. Being the hardest working means that when you are working on it, you're putting everything you have into it. You're giving 100% during the time that you're doing it. But it also means you're balancing your life, so you have what we call recovery time. It's almost like if you work out, if any of you do exercise or you work out, well, then you'll know that part of a workout regimen is you work out, but then you need to have off days, which are called recovery days. You need your muscles time to recover and gain strength and build for then the next time you go and you work out. So acting, or just a general work ethic is the same thing. You want to put everything you have into it when you're doing it, but then give yourself time off. And sometimes you have to schedule it. Schedule time for yourself, schedule time to do the things you want to do, schedule time to do nothing but sit on the couch and watch TV. Schedule downtime as recovery time. Schedule time to sleep. Schedule time to eat properly. Drink plenty of water. Like all of the things. Like take care of yourself. Schedule time for family and friends. Yes, that is critically important too, because then you'll be recharged and ready to give 100% when it's time to work. So learning how to balance your life and put a priority on yourself and what makes you happy. Learning how to do that will then make you way more efficient when you are putting the effort into your work. And that's better because, you can work 40 hours on something and not accomplish as much as somebody working 10 hours on something, simply because you're not as focused, or you're not recharged, or you're not as motivated. So make sure anytime you're working on something, I want you to be motivated. I want you to be excited about what you're doing. And then I want you to just, give it everything you have, even for shorter periods of time. And then make sure you schedule some time down from that, off from that, to do things you want to do. That is the strongest work ethic you can possibly have, is to have that balance. So I definitely want you all to work on that as well. And that goes into, you have to self-regulate the time that you put in to these things. Let's see, a question for Samantha came up, but is it possible to register for an email telling us when classes are open? Yes, there is. So on our website, if you go to truthfulacting.com, and there is a newsletter option that you can sign up for our newsletter. On the bottom of our main page, it's there, or if you go to the Contact Us portion of our website, we have sign up for the newsletter. And on the newsletter, yes, we always send that out first when registration opens, and you can stay in touch with what's happening at the studio, what we have going on, and when registration opens. So absolutely, we can do that for you. In addition, you can reach out right here at info@truthfulacting.com. You can reach out. That actually goes directly to Samantha. So you can reach out to us there, and if you have any questions. And also, this number right here, you can call or text. That also goes directly to Samantha. And so you can have a direct line of communication with her that way as well. Okay, and then that's it. So when you do that, it allows you, you have many ways to stay connected. Also, if we've opened up our new digital courses. We have a free course that's out there, and then we have a paid course that's out there. When you join the free courses, we've started something it's an online community. We're using a platform called Discord. Some of you may be familiar with it. Discord is basically an online community platform that allows us to have different channels of discussions in. So when you join the courses, you can also join the Discord community. And when you're on there, we can also talk about different things. You have direct access to me or Samantha as well on there, and we'll be happy to answer any other questions that you have there. Okay, so that is all the time we have. I'll try to incorporate if any other questions that you might have. I had some questions also that were sent to me ahead of time that I didn't get to. I'll try to incorporate those into our next session as well, but also reach out to us. We love to hear from you, and hopefully you'll be able to check out our new digital courses too. I'm really excited about those products because I'm really trying to put those together very specifically to work with you wherever you are in the world. I would love to connect with you and continue working in that way. So until then, we'll be back hopefully in about a month with a new topic. So be on the lookout for that, and I will see you all soon. So thanks so much for being here.